Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for coming, everybody. Welcome. Like I said, my name is Dasha Denger. I own White Moth Studio, and I will be presenting Awaken, which is my brand new service for personal branding photography. On the agenda, of course, we'll have my journey as a photographer, the disconnect that I'm seeing in the community, or rather in the market, my mission in order to fix that, of course, the process of how I go about it, and in conclusion, looking forward and what I would like some advice on. So my journey as a photographer, I have been shooting for many, many years. I started early in 2009, and I knew right away that I wanted to create photos that had soul. Like in general, I want to create stories and I want to capture people's personalities as best as I can. Recently, I finished a year-long mentorship with a very holistic coach. She taught me definitely to just be a CEO that leads from the heart. I want to incorporate my spirituality into my services, and I didn't know how to do it for a while, but I figured out, you know what? That just means being myself and connecting to my client. I opened White Moth last October, and again, the idea is to make sure that every client that I connect with is getting the representation that they need. Reawaken actually was just launched in January, so it's super baby, it's brand new, but it is definitely meant to make any business thrive. The disconnect that I'm seeing right now, there's definitely a lot of phone pics going around. I think people think just using their phone is okay to like record all of their branding. It definitely is not. It is kind of creating a problem for the professionals in the industry, and definitely says that they're kind of lazy and they're not investing in themselves. And I know that's harsh, but it's kind of true, right? If we're looking at a page, we're like, ooh, a phone pic. And I think there's also a lot of confusion about their needs. Maybe that's why they're not hiring a professional. There is, budgetary restraints. They're not sure how much they can invest in themselves right off the bat. Definitely saying there's not a lot of trust. And again, this is probably because of the confusion that's going around, because there's no like personal connection from the professional to the client. It's just all an exchange, go, go, go kind of mindset. And lastly, of course, misaligned values. Like I have been hired and I have hired with the wrong intentions in the past. And I learned definitely like your intentions have to align perfectly. Otherwise, it's not going to be good for anybody. So that is something that definitely is so important, because if you don't have those connections right off the bat, in the long run, that is going to cost the business money and a customer base. It's going to lose them trust. It's definitely not going to make them the revenue that they're looking for, because if they don't have imagery that says this is who we are right away, no one is going to connect with them on that personal level that makes that person want to invest. So my mission with Reawaken is actually very simple. I genuinely want to connect with my clients to make sure that their emotional needs are met, and that on that personal level, they're getting exactly what they need from me before we even get to the photography part. Like I said, I'm very holistic. I'm very like hands-on. So every step of the way, I'm asking questions, I'm answering questions, I'm trying to help people kind of ground into themselves and definitely find who they are inside. So that way, if they're owning a business, they're leading their business from the heart as well. I love to provide a very comfortable, safe space, both when we're connecting and when we're shooting, because that's extremely crucial. The service itself is definitely made as a photography service more than anything. I want those images to upscale their branding. I want them to be able to use them for marketing, to build brand awareness. I want them to just like have it shine and speak for itself. Obviously, it also gives full creative control, because if I'm not hands-on, then that means that my client is, not understanding the process. So I want them to be crystal clear with what I'm providing, and I want them to have as much flexibility as they need. Obviously, it needs to align with their creative needs. So we represent their brand mission, and I also provide very budget-friendly options. So I'm working right now on creating some sort of a pricing structure that would help underrepresented or minority-owned businesses really get the funding that they need to get these images. The process is actually pretty simple in my understanding. Of course, we start with the connection, we build trust and establish our values. I spend quite a lot of time understanding my clients' needs, and of course, we take even more time to do creative planning. So again, this is not a rush situation. This is very, all included. I want people to spend time with me to make sure they know what they're doing. Then, of course, we have a photo shoot, which is like the most fun part. And you get pampered, there's makeup, there's hair. I do all the clothing styling. And then afterwards, I like to actually sit down with my client to review those photos. And then afterwards, I will go to post production and touch them up for them. And after everything, I definitely want to make sure that they're not just left with the gallery and I say bye. I actually help them understand how to use those images and what are they really best used for. And so in conclusion, ideally, I would love to reach about 10 clients this year, if that's possible. My ideal audience right now is new or established businesses, and women in business is a priority for me because I primarily do already work with women, and I just really love connecting with them on that personal level. To me, that's just like second nature. But I also would love to incorporate like minority-owned businesses and underrepresented people because, again, that lack of trust and maybe budgetary restraints is pretty big in those areas. And I want them to know, like, I got you. Like, that shouldn't be stopping you from getting what you need. Right now, I'm looking for some feedback. Obviously, if Awaken was a service you were interested in, how would this help you as a business owner? And if you were a client, would this provide you the value that you're seeking as an investor, like a potential investor? What would you like to see added or taken out? And lastly, of course, if you have any connections that might be useful for me as I'm growing this service, I would love to hear them. So thank you for your time. I'm super grateful you came today. And if you have any questions and feedback, I would love to chat.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Dasha. That's great. Okay, so yeah, and there's the studio, or there's the contact information for the studio. And Dasha, you'll drop that in the chat too at some point. We'll drop that in. Great. So it looks like Jackie has her hand up. Jackie, you want to jump in?
Yes, I do. And yes, Dasha, I'm coming for you. Um, so to answer your first question there on that last slide is how would I could see using this business. I think that, first impressions are everything, and that is true no matter what. And I think that there may be some old stigma as to what that is. Not every professional, especially in Seattle, is like that suit and tie professional. We're notoriously known to be like the casual CEO, the CEO in a hoodie. But there's like a lot of leeway for, to be creative, like as far as like with your look and still be authentic. How would you talk to your clients who, about, creating that personal brand for themselves, especially with that casual CEO, lifestyle we have here?
So you mean like, how would I help them incorporate the casualness into their brand? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I think it's addressing like people think, oh, if I'm going to do like a styled shoot for my personal branding for my business to create this professional look, I need to have, the suit and tie wardrobe. I need to have that very corporate, look. But in the city culture that we have, how are you how do you address that with your clients, or how would you address that with your clients?
Again, absolutely, yes. So again, the Reawaken concept isn't so much about like, I need you to be polished and suit and tie, because it doesn't say that's who you are, right? Like on one hand, like great, those Pinterest images we've all seen where everyone is a super, polished and it's all bright and light. That is a great style for some if that fits, but on like the main aspect of the service is I want the person to be themselves. Like And I want them to embody their personality, because whatever their brand is, it's going to align with who they are and how they look and how they feel about themselves. So it's not going to make a difference, I don't think, to their client base if they are wearing a hood and jacket. If anything, they're going to be attracting those kinds of clients. So if that is who they're going for, because that's who they are, then that would just be like the kind of photo shoot that we go towards, but we maybe spice it up a little bit. You know, we maybe involved a few like more higher end props or something that like really says this is quality, even though it's laid back and relaxed. And again, I think that's actually a wonderful new thing that people should be doing instead of feeling polished, because people are connecting on that personal level, and that's what they need to see. They need to feel that like comfort and relaxation. So they don't necessarily want to see somebody in a suit anymore. They want to see somebody that's looking like them, and so they're going to go and buy from somebody that feels similar to who they are. I hope that answers the question.
Nice. Great. And Sarah, you raised your hand.
Hello. Thank you for the presentation. I really enjoyed it. It's something on my mind at the moment because I've actually just signed up with somebody for brand photography. So, and I'd like to say, I mean, this follows on from the meeting last week. I think the word for this year should be authenticity in all our businesses. I think it's about who we are and what we offer as individuals, and not, you know, I do X, Y, Z. It's all about that human connection. So that I think is really appealing. I've just come off of a meeting with a SCORE mentor and talking about finance. So it's just on my mind at the moment. You mentioned about getting investors. I just wondered how just the juxtaposition of getting investors and offering a service to people at a low rate and you know, inclusive, which is fabulous if you don't need the money, sort of thing. But I'm just, you know, I think investors, if you need investing, you're going to have to really think, how does that work together? Because they basically are only interested in the money and coming back. So I just think, you know, might want to sort of think about how does that work in practical terms, and whether there's actually more of a situation of getting grants or things that would actually help you in that that type of work. I don't know. I have no idea, but somebody out there might know if there's a way to get funding that could achieve your goals without a hard-nosed investor saying, yeah, but what's the return on my money?
Yeah, when it comes to investing, I think you're right. The grants is probably a much better idea, because I don't necessarily want to feel like I owe anybody anything, but at the same time, like it is just starting, and I don't even have like a studio space right now because I'm so fresh, like we just moved. So without clients, it's one of those things like you need one to have the other. So that's something that I put in there, because even if it's not like a monetary investment, if somebody wants to help invest their time and energy to help me build it, you know, some sort of volunteer base, like maybe helping with social media or helping with outreach or marketing, that's kind of the idea that I think I put towards the question, you know. But when it comes to like the money investment, yeah, I don't necessarily know if that is even feasible for this kind of service, because again, it's less tangible. I mean, there is photography, obviously, but yeah, it's a little tricky. So thank you for bringing that up. Appreciate that.
Nice. Morgan, you have your hand up.
Hey there, everybody. Good morning from the dog park. It's raining. So Dasha, great presentation. Question for you. I know White Moth Studio is such a representation of who you are as an individual. Can you talk a little bit more to like, what is the differentiator that you are bringing as like the photographer working with these folks? I'm thinking these, you know, more high value clients that you're working with, like what can they expect when they come to a shoot with you, and how does your authenticity and even spirituality help put them at ease?
Gotcha. Yeah. So that's actually something that I literally talked about on Monday night when I taught a class to photographers, because the whole difference is like the authenticity is at the core, right? It's at the forefront. So the spirituality aspect is just the fact that I connect on a much more deeper level with the person, and I truly embrace that. Like I used to run away from him. Now I'm like, nope, this is who I am and this is how I want to lead. Like I want to make people feel comfortable. I want them to question. I want them to deal with any sort of issues they may be having. Like, basically, don't brush away from what's stopping you. Like, let's talk about the troubles. Let's talk about the growth possibility in your personal level, right? In your personal life, instead of just business, business, business. So if you're on set with me, I'm 100% and I want you to be 100%. And the difference is, it's not just point and shoot, we got the shot, cool, let's get out of here. Like, again, that time investment is huge. Like, from the moment like we talk to when I'm helping you understand how to use those images, if you don't know how to market and all that, that's the huge differentiation from what like I can feel. Because a lot of clients that I've worked with, yeah, they love the photography and it's always great, but it's like that personal connection that like I took care of their emotional needs before anything else, and they felt empowered because of it. And so they felt like, cool, I can actually do this business because I got some like inside info about how awesome I am. You know, it just like changes your perspective on stuff. Yeah.
That's beautiful. One like quick follow-up question. Are there specific tactics that you use in those first conversations to kind of disarm a client and like pull them into the White Moth Studio like environment?
Sort of. I, for the most part, am just extremely genuine and honest with them, and I think they feel that energy right off the bat. Like, there's no face. It's just, hey, we're gonna be raw, we're gonna be honest, and you're gonna see that I genuinely care about you. So they, you know, the words may be something as simple as, tell me about your life. Like, tell me how you feel right now. You know, just anything that brings them in to continue to open up to me and build that trust. And definitely being transparent, just being clear with them, and, you know, continuing to say, okay, this is where we're going to be. This is like our big bubble of, you're basically my family for this extended period of time. But let's also have some boundaries. Let's have some clarity, you know, and then they feel that like trust again, that like, cool, this person gets it and we're on the level. Like, I don't know how to like exactly explain the feeling that, you know, happens, but that's like in a nutshell how it goes down.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jackie, did you have a follow-up question?
Yes. So your brand is Reawaken. Can you talk more about what brought you to that word and how that ties to your work ethic and your mission?
Definitely. So that's kind of a long story. When I was doing the holistic coaching that I mentioned, I was in the mentorship for a year. We met like every week and we discussed how we're going to build our business in order to, you know, essentially just create like an upscale business that brings in a large revenue when you're, you know, really leveling up. And the whole idea was like, I just want to help people on the spiritual level. So I created during that time a business called Personal Awakening Experience, where I wanted to spend like 6 months to a year with a person, helping guide them through just like the personal changes and the evolutions of themselves. Like, you know, I don't know if you know anything about like being kind of like connected to yourself on that deeper level, but connecting with your higher self, you know, doing your shadow work, essentially, you know, healing any like triggers or traumas. So that was like at the core of what I was trying to build. And then once we started moving, I was like, you know, I actually just want to incorporate that into photography because that's something I already do. And so I spent a while thinking about the name, like Personal Awakening Experience. Okay, that's too much. Like, what do I want to do with this? And so Reawaken just kind of popped into my head because it goes hand in hand with a person that's either starting a business or owns a business. You're just reawakening back to who you really are, and you're embracing like your entire personality without any reservations, without like any fears. You're just being true to who you are, and that again creates the you know, the business mission, and it gives that kind of customer care that people are looking for. And yeah, I think that that is how it just kind of became Reawaken. Yeah.
Nice. Kim, you had a question.
Yeah, Dasha, I love the service that you're offering. I feel like it's, you know, really needed, especially that holistic approach. You'd asked, I believe in your PowerPoint, you know, what services could be offered or be valued. And I would share from my perspective, reentering being an entrepreneur after taking a break for about 15 years. And I was an entrepreneur for 30 years. And in that day, I'm dating myself, but there was really not the social media and the marketing and the branding wasn't such a thing. I am learning how important the branding is. But for me, starting, really what's I think one of the challenges in launching is creating that brand, right? Because we all have a story to tell. So through my nonprofit, there is really a story and a lot of value there. So I would say that, those headshots or even content that's, really authentic and genuine, that shares a mission and purpose of, let's say a nonprofit, it would be extremely valuable to someone like me because, I'm launching this by myself and you only have so much time. And I honestly don't know what I'm doing sometimes. And then the other thing, Dasha, I think is what I would be interested in learning more is that, I was a career in tech background in construction and stuff, but I have some skills, construction skills, but I also am a clinical psychologist. So there's that clinical psychology piece, right? And entrepreneurship. But I work with reentry populations. And what I'm finding is that there's really a lack of education and awareness around reentry. And, people have this kind of stigmatization that these are really bad people and why are we doing this? But really the rehabilitation is so important for, society and safe communities. So I was thinking in your stories and what you share as a brand expert and what you do, I would say that the value is in those stories. So perhaps that if someone is targeting in a population that there's not a lot of awareness around that value in creating content that shares that story, to help people understand that go, oh, wow, I get the mission, I get the need. And so I think with your holistic focus is fantastic for that because I've tried working with someone with some branding, but they just didn't really understand the importance of getting, that message through because there's that educational awareness component. So I love this holistic perspective and getting to know people and their unique personalities because the stories and getting to know people is so powerful, right?
I agree.
That's how we
100%.
all connect. So I applaud you. I love what you're doing. So that's my feedback.
Thank you. Well, actually, I'm going to add to that too, because I am a first generation immigrant. Like I moved with my mom in 2000 from Russia. So there was a lot of stigma, let me tell you.
Wow.
As a
Yeah.
kid that didn't know English, going into a new school, new environment, no friends, no nothing, just like, okay, come up to the class and say hi. And I was just mortified. Plus the day before I had fallen off a bike and my face was all bruised. And I was like,
Oh, no.
like,
Oh, no.
like telling that story is everything, 100%. When I did the coaching, we had a story coach come in and actually spend time with us and say, like, when you're selling, you're not really selling, you're telling your story, the experience and the transformation that you're offering more than anything. So yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I love that. I love it. See, and even just you're sharing that, that's how it unites us. And as Dan mentioned, it's really not in this space. What I love about One MC is it's just not about this pitching and this pressure to pitch. It's really about that connection, which I think is missing for a lot of us. And so I love that. So anyway, I love what you're doing and gosh, you're everything about it. So congratulations and I'll be in touch.
Great. Thank you. I have a clarifying question before I have a potential item of feedback, but I just wanted to clarify with the Reawaken. It sounds like, when you talk about how you're going to use the pictures, it sounds like these are around professional branding where they might be using them on their website or their profiles or in messaging and reach out. And that's the primary focus. It's not necessarily like, somebody would approach you and say, hey, I want to do a family portrait or something for personal use. It's primarily professional. Is that correct?
That was the idea from the
Okay.
brand.
Okay.
For business owners, for businesses starting up, because I have done families, I have done portraits, I've done fashion. So I can still 100% offer those services. It wouldn't be Reawaken, but it
would be through the White Moth Studios or something. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
A little bit different, but it would still include the holistic approach, 100%. Yeah.
And I think that earlier, so this, I think with that people entering into the workspace or maybe starting a new business or and when Sarah was talking earlier, it made me think about, the people that might engage you or provide funding or be a client. It might be an organization as well, because there are, thankfully, increasingly more organizations out there that are trying to help underrepresented people and women enter back into the workspace or recover from some, situation that, not a great situation, and maybe recover from that and re-enter back into not only the workforce, but, the community and re-engage with their life. And there might be an opportunity to engage with organizations that are focused on empowering or launching people that, you might be able to engage with the organization, and then they offer that to their membership. So
Absolutely,
it's
that's,
just a thought.
yeah, wonderful.
Mark, you had raised your hand. Question?
Yeah, it was a good presentation. My question is, do you have much competition, like with like AI headshots or AI, playing into this role where we're trying to get a new portfolio up or doing whatever, and so somebody just goes out there, takes a headshot from when they're at the beach and says, make me a business professional now, and they Google it all up or do whatever else they do, and then just make their own profile on whatever they're doing. How do you see that competition playing in the space?
How do I see that as a competition? Well, that is
Yeah.
actually the problem. That is the whole point. The human connection is what's missing, and that's why I am wanting to present, or I'm wanting to give this service to people, is because AI can only go so far. And actually, there was something, I was talking to Courtney, another photographer, and we're like, better than AI. We want to like teach a workshop or a class to say, this is the reason we need to actually get away from this and go back to like what's important, that connection with you and a professional that's going to take care of you every step of the way. And it's not just going to be fast and cookie cut it and you're done. Because like it's the experience, the transformation. That's like at the very core of why you invest in yourself. It's not just for photography. It's to, gain that self-confidence, to maybe gain a new conscious level of yourself and what it is that you're doing. The transformation aspect is genuinely like the whole point of like why I want to connect on that personal level and help the person essentially heal and grow so they can take their business to like the new level that they're looking to do. Yeah, anybody can get an AI headshot, 100%. I refuse to do it because obviously, but that is the problem, and that is why I want to kind of help humanity get back to the roots of communicating and, being honest and real.
Yeah, that's great. Mark, that was a great question, because I think that there's a lot of circumstances in which right now industries and areas and people are thinking about how does AI impact them. And certainly that I can say that, just speaking from my own experience, and this is quite a while back, but I did a photo shoot to get new headshots and pictures for when I was starting my current business. And that whole experience of, and it was a lot of fun. The person that I engaged took kind of a similar approach to Dasha, maybe not quite as intentional and, with the process behind it, but still had that similar approach of, hey, let's get to know you and pick a location that works for you and, have fun with it. And I will say that when I utilize those photographs, it makes me feel good that I had that experience, doing the photo shoot, and that it truly represents me. And it was at a location that I really identified with. And it's like when that represents me, I have confidence in the picture, and I have, like a positive energy around those pictures. And I think that helps me be confident in leveraging them. Which I guess maybe a stretch a little bit, but I do feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. And again, getting that AI headshot, like you're not going to put the energy, like that's the key word. You're not going to put that positive energy into sharing it. You're just going to throw it out there. And everyone A is going to know it's fake. They're going to see right through it. Like, let's not kid ourselves. They're not that high quality right now when we're doing them ourselves. But thank you for sharing that. I love that. I love that you had that experience. And that's kind of what it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then when someone asks you, oh, hey, where was that picture taken? You'd be like, and in the virtual world. Sarah, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate really what you're saying is, I think there's room for everybody, isn't there? It's like not everybody's going to go out and get AI. There are still bookshops with paper books in, we can get it all on the internet. We can do it all. So, and really, what slice of the market do you need to create a profitable business that makes you, it's a satisfying, meaningful life for you? And unless you have hopes of being, a billionaire or a multimillionaire, then, good for you. I think there are always going to be people that will want your service without a doubt.
Mhm. I agree. I agree. Yeah, and I don't want to be a billionaire. I hate them. I just want enough to have for myself.
I have to interject when you brought up the billionaire comment that a little while back, there's of course a lot of attention on people that are billionaires from a monetary wealth standpoint. But it was suggested, and I forget the individual because it's a little while back, that the new definition for billionaire should be someone who positively impacts the lives of 1 billion people or more. Has nothing to do with your bank account. Like that should be the new standard. So
Very cool. I like that.
Wow, I love that, Dan. Thank you for sharing that. That's very powerful. So yes,
yeah.
Dasha, you can be the billionaire, the new billionaire.
The new version of billionaire. Yeah.
Can I say that I love how realistic you are being, and now actually through this conversation, I'm understanding it more. And as with any business, it's in that conversation that you uncover, okay, that's what you're really about. That's what you're really offering, and having that conversation, just punctuating, what Reawaken and just the branding to me. When I think about, who I know, and I know myself too, when I think about I will think about who to refer to you are the probably people that are going through that transition. They've had a career like, Sarah and Kim and we've had a career and we're making a transition. And, we, in the social media age, it's like this marrying of like, your holistic approach to the social media age where, we have, a few seconds to grab somebody's attention. And the perfect photo that represents you just only takes a second.
Mhm.
The point is to brand yourself so well in that photo is that when people see you, they can see you.
Yeah.
And I must confess that I have, my AI photo, not because of not wanting to find someone. It's literally been trying to find the right fit. And so when I think about that, I think about exposure. That's why I said I'm coming for you, because me personally, I've been looking for somebody like you that has this, but it took a year for you to get your training. So here you are. So two things: exposure for you. So that's one, obviously through, expanding your brand awareness and your mission awareness, and two, keep teaching because, the buck can't stop with you. It has to, like all of us, we take our lived experience here and that's what we share. Like even for, the younger people that I have seen at here at 1 Million Cups, I'm looking at you, Morgan, even through your lived experience, that is your niche. That is like your mission, your calling. So being a teacher, also punctuating what Dan said, is there are organizations, there are a ton that I can think of. And you and I are in a networking chat where there's a lot of women there that are affiliated with organizations that can host events where they can put you into their event budget to pay for your services for the day, and then offer, put that offering to, other, people, other people on other entrepreneurs that need to come on for either a discounted price or for free.
Exactly. No, I absolutely agree. Yeah. The organization aspect just always escaped me because I think I'm just not like ready to see it on that like huge level of like pitching it to, a bigger, organization or a nonprofit. I'm always just very personal, but you're 100% right. Like there is a lot of amazing connections in the chat that we're a part of, and just in general, like that brand awareness. Absolutely. Absolutely. I am doing my best right now, but I can definitely step it up. Yeah. I am so excited. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. And then we always ask this question at the end, just to make sure that what can the 1 Million Cups community do for you, Dasha? Is there anything that we didn't cover today or any way that we can support you?
Definitely just continue to exist so I can show up. That's great. That comes to mind right away. Maybe just any more advice, not just today, but like throughout on, how to spread more awareness, how to just continue to like show up in Seattle because I'm very new and like I've only done a few events since I moved and they were kind of hospitality based. So just any more info that like, hey, this is maybe like in your field, maybe show up at this event or stuff like that, because like I love anything that's like one-on-one, person to person. So better than just emailing and stuff. I want to just physically be there, but I need to know where to go.